Hello, my dear students. Welcome to my second session on the chapter Changes Around Us. I hope you are reading this chapter in your NCERT books by now. So let's continue. So let us recapitulate what we have done in our first session. We have seen that there are many things around us, and these things have certain properties such as state, size, positions, color, etc. When one or more of these properties of the thing become different, then we say a change has occurred. And these changes can be classified as reversible and irreversible changes. The changes which can be reversed easily by reversing the conditions are called reversible changes. They are temporary changes and we can obtain the object back in its original shape and form. For example, drying of clothes, folding a paper, blowing a balloon, melting of ice, etc. And in today's session, we will see what are irreversible changes, definition and examples, difference between reversible and irreversible changes, some ways to bring about a change, summary of the session, and a worksheet that will follow. Irreversible changes. What is an irreversible change? An irreversible change is a permanent change that cannot be undone. That is, when one or more properties of a substance change in such a way that you cannot get back your substance in its original form, it is called an irreversible change. Let us see a few examples to understand this better. Baking a cake. When you bake a cake using certain ingredients, then can you get back your ingredients again? Can you reverse this change? No. Once you bake a cake, it is not possible to get the ingredients in their original form. They are already cooked. So this is a irreversible change. Similarly, rusting of metals. What is rusting? Rusting is corrosion of a metal. Children, iron, when it is exposed to oxygen and moisture, changes into another substance which is called as rust. Rust is a much weaker and brittle material. That is, the iron object gets damaged and you cannot change rust back into iron again. So, iron changing into rust due to natural weather conditions, it is called a irreversible change because you cannot get back your iron object again. Frying an egg. You all know that when you beat an egg and cook it, you cannot get back your egg in its original form. So frying an egg is an irreversible change. Burning a paper. When you burn a paper, paper changes into ash and smoke. Can you change the ash back into your paper? No, it is not possible. So burning process, any kind of burning is always an irreversible change. Then mixing of cement. Mortar is basically cement. So cement is mixed with water and to form a paste with which the construction work is done. So once cement is mixed with water and it is dried, it becomes very hard. Then you cannot change this mortar into cement, powdered cement again. So mixing cement into mortar is an irreversible change. Baking a roti on a tawa. Children, when we bake the rolled out roti on a tawa kept on a stove, then we will get a baked roti. This baked roti cannot be changed back into the original ball of dough. So, this is an irreversible change. What about blooming of a flower? When a flower blooms from its bud stage, can it be changed back into a bud again? No, it is not possible. So, blooming of a flower is also an irreversible change. Then setting of curd. Curd is made from milk. How is it made? A previously made curd is added to warm milk. Then milk is stirred and kept aside for a few hours. Then the milk sets into curd. The curd cannot be changed back into milk again. What does this mean? This is an irreversible change. Then cutting of paper plane. So when you cut out a paper plane or any shape from paper, can you get back your original paper again? No, it's not possible. So when you cut out a shape like a paper plane from the paper cannot be obtained back again. So this is also an example of irreversible change. POP or plaster of Paris is a white powdery substance which immediately sets to a hard mass on adding water to it. It becomes very hard on drying and it is usually used in craft work and in making statues. There is another very important use for POP. When a person has a fracture, doctors apply a thick coat of paste of the plaster of Paris over the bandage on the fractured bone. POP sets and becomes very hard on drying and it keeps the fractured bone in place to get joined properly. So, POP becoming very hard on drying is an irreversible change because you cannot get back the original form of the plaster of Paris again. So children, we have seen several examples of irreversible changes today. Now let us define what are irreversible changes. Irreversible change is the change which cannot be reversed back even by reversing the conditions. It is a permanent change. We cannot obtain the object back in its original shape and form. Now let us watch a video to understand this concept of irreversible changes better.
Irreversible changes. Having studied about reversible changes, let us perform similar activities to learn about irreversible changes. Take the same balloon that we used to perform the reversible activity and blow it to its full size. Tie its mouth tightly with a string. Now prick the balloon with a pin. Oh no! The balloon bursts with a loud noise. Now what do we see? We see that the balloon has changed its shape and size, and it cannot regain its original look. It means that this change cannot be reversed. Such a change is called an irreversible change. Thus, an irreversible change is a permanent change that cannot be undone or reversed. Let us perform the second activity. Take a piece of paper and draw an aeroplane on it. Now cut along its outline. On doing so, we get two pieces of paper, that is, one is the picture of the aeroplane, and the other is the remaining paper. This means we do not get back the original piece of paper. Let us now perform the last activity. Take some dough, and make a ball. Roll out a roti. Bake it on a tawa. Oh, the roti is ready. As in the reversible activity, can we get back the ball of dough from the roti? No? It's impossible. From the changes that occurred in these activities, we can conclude that the change in which new substances are formed, and we cannot get back the original material, is called an irreversible change. Having performed so many activities, you will be fully conversant with reversible and irreversible changes. Now let us classify some of the common changes given in this table as reversible and irreversible. The reversible changes are woolen yarn to knitted sweater, straight string to coil string, wet clothes to dry clothes, cold milk to hot milk, potter shaping a lump of clay into a pot, stretched rubber band to its normal size, solid ice cream to molten ice cream. Whereas the irreversible ones are potter bakes a pot in an oven, cow dung to biogas, batter to idli, milk to paneer, bud to flour, grain to its flour. Change in size of pencil and eraser after continuous use. Raw egg to boiled egg.
Oh, I hope you have understood well about reversible and irreversible changes. Now we are in a position to differentiate between reversible and irreversible changes. I have already done this for you here. Please go through the differences carefully and note them down in your copy. We have studied many examples of changes. Let us know how these changes take place. Some ways by which we can bring about changes are heating, cooling, and mixing. Let us study about them in detail. Children, sometimes the metal lid of a jar may become very tight and it gets stuck. Then you might have been asked by your elders to pour hot water over it. Why? What happens when you pour hot water over the metal lid? Metals expand on heating. The increase in size on heating is called expansion. The expansion of an object on heating is a reversible change. This is because when the hot object is cooled, it decreases in size and comes back to its original size. The decrease in size of an object on cooling is called contraction, and metals expand on heating and contract on cooling. There are some very important applications of this. You all must have seen the wheels of bullock carts or horse carts. They have a thin iron rim around them. The iron rim has to be fitted very tightly around the wheel. Otherwise, it will come off when the wheel is in motion. So, how is it done? For fixing the metal rim on a wooden wheel of the cart, the metal rim is made slightly smaller than the wooden wheel. Now the rim is heated uniformly so that it expands and becomes bigger and it fits onto the wheel. Now cold water is poured over the metal rim so that it contracts and fits tightly onto the wheel. In this way, the metal rim is fitted on the wooden wheel. Children, there is also another application of contraction and expansion of metals. Have you ever wondered how the wooden handle is fitted onto the agricultural tools? Let us see. The agricultural tools have a ring into which the wooden handle is to be fitted. The ring is made slightly smaller than the wooden handle. Now the ring is heated uniformly throughout, and it being a metal will expand and become bigger in size. Now the handle can easily fit into the metal ring. Now the ring is pulled down so that it contracts and the handle fits tightly onto the metal ring. In this way, the wooden handle is fitted onto the tools. There is one more very interesting consequence of expansion and contraction of metals in our everyday life. Children, the railway tracks are made up of iron, a metal. And as you know, when metals get heated, they expand and become bigger in size, and when they are cooled, they become smaller. So, if you have ever observed, there are small gaps provided between the rails. These gaps are provided to accommodate for the expansion that may occur during the hot summer season. So the gap is left between the rails to provide a space for the iron metal to expand and contract during the summer and winter season due to the change in the temperatures. If the gap is not left in between the rails, they will bend more and cause derailing of the trains. Children, let us see one last example for how heat can bring about a change. Burning of a candle. Now, what are the changes that occur when a candle is burning? 1. Melting of wax. As the wax gets heated up, it melts and becomes a liquid. But you know that melting is a reversible change. The liquid wax becomes a solid when it gets cooled down. So this is a reversible change. Then we have burning of wick. The wick burns and changes into ash. So it is an irreversible change. Then burning of wax vapors. The wax vapors burn to give out the light, and it is again a irreversible change. Then there is the change in size of the candle. The candle becomes shorter and shorter, and you cannot get the candle back in its original size because already some amount of wax is lost in burning. So, burning of wick, burning of wax vapors, and change in size of the candle are all irreversible changes. So, we can say that burning of a candle is an irreversible change. Changes can also occur on mixing of two or more substances. Let us see how. Dissolving salt in water. What happens when you dissolve salt in water? Salt dissolves completely in water and it disappears. But can you get back salt and water separately again? Yes, by heating the salt solution and condensing the water vapors back, we can get back salt as well as water again. So, dissolving salt in water is actually a reversible change. So, this is one change that occurs when you mix two substances. Another example is setting of curd. So, when you add a small quantity of curd to warm milk and leave it for a few hours, you see that milk changes into curd. So, what type of change is this? This is an irreversible change because you cannot get back milk again. So, mixing of substances can either cause a reversible change or an irreversible change. Children, now we have come to the end of our chapter. So, let us recapitulate what we have done in this chapter. Many changes are taking place around us every day. These changes can be classified into two groups, reversible and irreversible. Reversible changes are the changes which can be reversed back easily by reversing the conditions. They are temporary changes. We can obtain the object back in its original shape and form. Irreversible changes are the changes which cannot be reversed back even by reversing the conditions. They are permanent changes. We cannot obtain the object back in its original shape and form. We can bring about a change by heating a substance or by mixing two or more substances together. Now, I have given a worksheet in the end of this chapter. I want you all to answer the questions in your science classwork copy. So, thank you, children, and see you all in my next session. Till then, take care.